get started. We only have a few seconds left. We'll go ahead and start. What I will tell you as you guys are coming in, I want you to be sure to announce yourself as I see you guys are doing so. Thank you. And then if you can see my screen, you should see my screen. We got an amazing topic today, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Also, because I can't hear you or see your faces, as you've got questions, go ahead and put it into the chat for me. So I'm going to be checking because I see people making comments now. I'll be checking back and forth in the presentation to make sure I'm answering your questions. So if I see a question pop up, I'll come in and I'll chime in if you've got it. So just to make sure that we're all on the same page. All right. And if you have no questions, you want to save them to the end, you could do that too, because I want to be here to answer whatever questions you've got. Because I see that we've got people here. Now I'm going to go ahead and get started because it is 6 o'clock. I'm going to do my best to keep us under an hour. So this is our Transitional Housing Maximize Spotlight Live, and we are talking specifically today about finding your rental property for transitional housing. Now, truly, this is a hidden gold mine that most investors miss, and I can honestly say that because I was one of them getting into this space. I don't know if you guys know my story, but I didn't really get into the rental properties for transitional housing. We bought all of ours. And as we kept, because money kept coming in, we made more money. We saw the need. We kept buying more property. So, you know, if you can find it like that, wonderful. And there are opportunities. I'll talk about them another time about how you can just get into this space and do different various ways of finding properties. But rentals, getting a rental is a wonderful way to do this. And I missed it, but I'm learning it as we are going now. I'm using it with a lot of my students so that you also can know how to do this. And that's why we're covering this today. We're wanting to be able to showcase that with you. So with that being said, I will tell you that most people make the mistake by going to the wrong sites when doing rental arbitrage or looking for rental properties. Because we typically know what? We typically know we can go to Zillow, which that was my favorite spot when we did lease options. I love doing lease options, which is yet another thing you could do. So if we were looking at lease options, we'd go to these places. But if you're just renting, these are the places that you don't want to go to. And why? Because you're going to be rejected by most property managers in this space. It's so strict. You're dealing with listing agents, listing properties for their investors, and there's not a lot of wiggle room when it comes to that. That's why most people don't. They make a mistake going here, but this is not the best place to come. So if you have considered, if you've ever used one of these sites, ever, I want you to list which one is your go-to site that you've gone to. Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, like which ones are you most popular that you, yep. Most people are Zillow, 100% Zillow. Redfin is really good too though. But yep, most people go to Zillow or Redfin. I see a lot of people saying Zillow, which that is the one that most people are most commonly going to, but that's why it's the wrong place to go to. You do not want to go here for the type of housing we're talking about. You want to go to something that's going to serve you a little better. Now, another place, which, and this is sort of like the poll I was taking with you right now, if you've ever used Facebook Marketplace, raise your hand. If you've ever used that, because I'm going to tell you that is becoming one of the most, like, I know I go to there for a lot of different things. People are going there for housing too. But guess what? That's not the right place either, because they're specifically not wanting to partner with you as much, but clearly you want to make sure you're going to the right sites. Now, I'm just going to say this as a caveat. Even though Facebook Marketplace is not the most common, like you should not go there to get this, but you can if you know how to ask the right questions, and depending on who you're talking about. And we'll get into some of those details, but you want to make sure as you're looking at rental properties that you're going to the right place to find those properties. So now that you know that these are the places that you don't want to go to, let's start shifting and saying where you should go. Now, and I'm learning to use this hot patch just because from the people I've talked to in this space who do rentals on a regular basis for group homes, transitional housing, all of the likes, they say this is the best tool because you're going to what they call FRBOs, for rent by owners. FSBOs are for sale by owners, which you can use if you're purchasing and you're looking for something that you can really be creative with. But FRBOs is where you go for those who are renting their properties, because one, they're not working with an agent, which that is critical to being able to afford, like being able to find something that's going to be cost effective for you, but you have direct access to the landlord. You're not dealing with an agent. Now, I'm not against agents. I do have to disclose I am a broker. And for the sake of these discussions, we are here just to educate you in this space. So when you're utilizing FRBOs, you have them direct. And my understanding with this site, it is absolutely phenomenal because it allows for you to do specific things, which we'll talk about in just a second. So this is considered the number one tool for individuals who are looking to rent a property from a landlord without dealing with an agent. Now, the reason why most people list there is because they can be a little more creative. And that's what you're wanting to do. When you are wanting to put together your transitional housing home, you need to have some flexibility around the terms that are created. And with that being said, that flexibility can be done here on FRBO, and you want to be able to do that. So by doing that, you're able to just create more of an opportunity for yourself as it relates to the rentals. Now, what you do when you're going there, because I want you to be a pro at this. And as I said, I've used search engines for everything. So this is like any other typical search engine that you would utilize. You would go in clearly looking at your target area. So typically either by a zip code or a particular neighborhood, but you would search by your target area, and then you're going to use the filter for FRBO so that you can find exactly what you're looking for on hot pads. Now, depending on your program, and you remember, I'm always going to talk about your program first. I'm not going to talk about the property, but most people are going to look for 4+ bedrooms because they want the biggest bang for their buck. Now, I'm just going to be honest. If you know that that doesn't serve your program, please don't do it. It's good to see what that yields for you. But remember, I really want you focus on your program, not so much the property, because your goal is to be able to find what's going to fit for you, not you getting the property and then trying to figure out what you're going to do next. We don't do it in that order. And then you're going to want to have a pitch ready that you can then share with the landlords when you find something that fits you. Now, once you find something that fits you, this is where the fun is. And I want to encourage you, if you've never done this before, I want you to build it out. Like, I'm that anal type of person where I like writing out things exactly verbatim, because when you do that, it becomes easier and easier when you talk about it. So definitely having something written that you can use that's going to introduce yourself, present what your mission is, and offer what benefits it is for them to work with you. Because what's your goal? Your goal is to get the landlord to say yes. So if you can get them to say yes, then, hands down, that's what you want. So when you structure it this way and make sure that you are making it about them, even though you really want them to say yes to you, but you can't make them say yes to you if you have it structured for you only. It has to be about them. So as you're pulling back the things I want you to avoid is you have to avoid listing with agencies. When you're looking at brokerages or real estate agencies, they're just going to make it complicated for you to do this work. That's why working with FRBOs is way better. So when you avoid working with agencies, you also can avoid certain things that you do not want them locking you in on your rental agreements, because having a subletting clause, I remember someone from this group a few weeks ago talking about subletting, and if they were allowed in certain places, but making sure it doesn't have a subletting clause, because if it prevents you from subletting, that's that defeats the purpose, because you are going to be subletting it if you're looking at it in the terms of your contract that you're going to have, and you don't want to be locked in with something that is a furnished short-term unit, because those are for something different. So as long as you are doing those things, you can position yourself to where you are going. Now, I want to give this as a homework assignment just so you can test it out, because I want to hear from you, those of you who are listening to me. I want to see you test it out, and I want to see how it might work. So think of your particular, your city and your area. And I want you to find the area that you know you want to test out, your target. And then I want you to find 5. Just 5. And if you find more than that, then you are an overachiever. I like overachievers, but at least do 5 furbeaus that you can identify on hot pads. And then I want you to send that message out to them. So whatever message you crafted, I want you doing that. Now, 2 things. When you do this activity, I don't care if you don't have it in mind yet. Like, let's say you're not at the phase of testing this out yet, right? You're not at the phase of finding the property, but you want to practice. That's all we're doing here is practicing. You just want to go out there and practice, because the more you practice this skill, you're going to get quick and good at it. So find your target area, identify 5 furbeaus that you want to look into, and send them a message. Because worst thing that could happen is they say, no, leave me alone. Or the best thing that could happen, which is also a fearful place to be at, you actually have somebody says, oh, yes, please, I love it. Oh, I love your program. Tell me more. Like, you want them saying that. So either way, it's a win-win. Whether you're ready or not, let's test it out. That's your first homework assignment. There's going to be 2 assignments out of this, not just 1, but 2. So once you've done that, I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and give me that feedback in our community. Those of you who are not connected to my school community yet, this is a shameful plug. I'm always going to plug it, but go to tonyschool.com, TONISKOOL.com, and sign up. I have an amazing group of purpose-driven people who love this work, and this is where we do it at. So when you join, go ahead and give us comments inside the posting for the training from tonight, because it's going to be accessible there for you to be able to share. But that's your first homework assignment that I need for everyone to do in the room. Now, questions I have: if anyone in the group has ever even been on hot pads before, I just need to see. Anybody in the room? Okay. I can't believe not one person in the room has ever heard of hot pads. Wow. Okay, well, you know what? That's okay. That's a good thing then, because I was curious. I know people have heard about the other sites that we named out, but hot pads, because I said it was new for me too. Was curious if anyone else had heard of it, because this was my first step. When I started hearing people talk in this space, it came up. I was trying to see if anyone could give me some comments, but it looks like, yep, I'm hearing people say no, they hadn't heard from it. Okay, well, what we'll do with that, when you do your homework assignment, I want you then to share with me what you thought when you tried it. If you could do that for me, so you're going to do the activity and you're going to tell me, like, how did it feel? How did it work for you? And if you got a win from it, even better. Like, if you actually had something that came from that, I definitely want to hear you there. But if you have any questions about it or any takeaways that you've got related to that homework activity, I want you to give me that too. So please make sure you give me your homework assignment in our chat once you've completed that. And you're also welcome to put it on our YouTube, so that you can give me comments there, because I'll give you feedback there if you're not comfortable yet coming to our school community. Now that we've got that taken care of, what I want to do is share with you, because as you've heard me talk about, we're in a space right now where shared housing is going to be critical to us moving forward, not just in our individual communities, but across this country, because there is no affordable housing options out here. There's few and far between. I don't want to say there's none, but it's slim. And because it's so slim, it's hard to get landlords, investors, developers to create affordable housing because it's still not affordable. That's the challenge. So you've got individuals who are now in shelters or couch surfing or doing whatever to be housed because they can't afford it. So we are clearly in a pandemic that is going to increase over the next 2 to 3 years. So if you know that to be a fact, as I do, and I hope you see what I see coming, it is a sense of urgency that we get people like you interested in doing this work so that we can be able to not only catch those and provide some semblance of affordable housing, but then teach them how to sustain themselves so that it's not an issue long term. Because most people can't afford housing today unless they find another creative way to bring income in. I teach people how to do that. So that's what I'm talking about. And I'm teaching you how to do that too. So that's why we have to take action now and provide shared housing as a viable solution to not only ending homelessness, but curbing poverty as we know it today. So that's why I work so hard in educating people in this space. So by doing this particular model that we're talking about and finding a rental to be able to use for transitional housing, we are doing what they call rental arbitrage. So I want to make sure you understand what rental arbitrage is, because when you have a heart for this space and you can do this space and you can get a property, renting it out to get your needs, you can do so much amazing work. It's bigger than even just doing one property. Now, I know many of you hear me talk about you really only need one to create a legacy, which is true. But I really want you being able to make a bigger impact. So many of you listening to the sound of my voice right now will probably have 2 to 3. I just interviewed a guy today that has 15. So I'm not trying to overwhelm you, but out of the 15 that he had, more than half of them he did through rental arbitrage. So let's talk through that. When you have a property that you can rent for 5 years, 10 years, lock it in, and then you then re-rent it out to somebody with a need with your program, the difference between the two, let's say that he wants $1,500 a month for that property. You then can rent, you can get, and let's say it has 4 bedrooms. Each bedroom you can do $500 to $600. So now where you're $1,500, you're bringing in $2,400 here. So the difference is what they call arbitrage. That is in essence what rental arbitrage is. So when you can get whatever is in the middle and then use that to either pay for whatever expenses that need to be paid, and then whatever's left over is called revenue. That is a legal process that you can do. It is very legal. Unless they tell you you cannot sublet, then you can do that. But what's most important about that model is making sure you set it up right. That's where most people fail. So you want to make sure that you can set this property up right so that it can be successful. Now, first of all, let me make sure there aren't any questions, because I know that was a lot. Okay, good. All right. No questions yet. But yes, indeed, I hear you guys talking about the guy who was doing 15. Yes, you'll get a chance to meet him soon. But that's what we're talking about. Now, let me just say this too before we jump right into creative strategies, because I am excited about the possibilities that you all have by doing this work. Because clearly, I always set you up with making sure we set your program up solid, right, based on your why. And then once we build from that, you can scale. And you can look at having 15 if you want. which is wonderful. But I want you focusing, because think about this too. 15 is a lot of people. If you're looking at 15 times 4 people, that could be what, 60 people being responsible for 60 people, 60. If you can concentrate on making sure you get results for people, at the end of the day, that's what I love. You're going to have probably a mix. You're going to have a mix of people who you can really teach how to pay forward and how to help. But then you're going to have people who are going to, that's where they're going to be. They're going to live there. And that's okay as well. So I want you to be aware they all work, but we want to make sure that whatever program we're creating, that we're passing it forward, teaching others how to do something that where their lives can be transformed. It's hard to transform your life just sitting in a shared housing situation, just existing. So I'm just going to preface that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying we're going to do both. We're going to be able to build on both sides, be able to help those who are just okay with that, but then helping those who want to transform and pay forward. And those are the people we're going to build legacy on. That's how we're going to build legacy. Okay, so now we're jumping in, and I digress. Thank you for letting me do that. Thank you. I see your comments, and yay. So now, as we're talking about creative strategies to find landlords, I love finding landlords. And there's so many different ways you can do it. I've listed 5 here, and this is outside of what we've already talked about. If you truly are a person that is passionate about this space, you can drive for dollars all day long and find property that is, like, when you see people moving out, well, who's going to be moving in? That might be a property you could take over if you see someone moving out. Like, that's driving for dollars. We used to drive all the time when gas was cheap. We would drive around and look at properties that we could get either through a FSBO, or we did subject tos, or we did, you could do this for people moving out, getting their rentals, right? But you also, which this here is the best place to do it, is on Facebook. Imagine being in a group of people, especially if you make yourself known in these groups. And by the way, I go through a lot of detailed training on this in my VIP program, talking about how you network and how you build out with the landlord groups. But in a nutshell, once they know you're coming in there to be a contributor to the group and they know who you are, oh, you can ask for a lot and it just comes. What you're in search of. And if you tell them, hey, I'm in search of this and this in this location, they're going to start sending you stuff, because that's what they are. They're landlord groups. Sometimes you got investor groups, but being able to utilize Facebook groups to your benefit is going to be critical to your success in finding a rental. Also, Craigslist. Now, to this day, we still do Craigslist for our marketing. You can do it to find people who are renting their properties. You go to the FSBO section, you will find people who want to rent their properties there without going through a listing agent. So you will want to utilize Craigslist. Now, I'm just going to say this one right here, bandit signs. Now, I'm going to look at you right now, because I just don't like bandit signs. But you could try it. I'm just not a fan of, because I know people, we used to actually use them when we were trying to find residents to stay in our properties. I'm just not a fan. People use them all the time. And I hear they use them for this space as well. People who are looking for rentals, saying, something basic on there, hey, looking for a place where I can stay. And you, to run my program, like whatever verbiage you use when you're marketing to the FSBOs, you do the same with your bandit signs. I personally have never done it this way, and I don't know if I would like doing it this way, but it's an option, right? I'm trying to make sure I've given you as many creative ways in which I can do that for you. Now, and question we have is, where is FSBO located? How do you access it? So FSBO is when you go to Craigslist for rent by owners. It's like the same for sale by owner. There should be a section in Craigslist called for rent by owners. You should be able to find that. If it doesn't have a section that calls it out specifically, then look for without an agent, because that's really all it's saying. It's saying that I have a property that I'm doing, not an agent. And that's what you want. Why? Because agents want to get paid, even if whether they are selling a property for a person or renting a property, they want their fee. And it makes it harder for you to negotiate with them, because they obviously have an agent involved. So great question. So as we are looking at the last strategy, I'm telling y'all, if you didn't see my lesson on working at AREA, that's my favorite. Because one, they get to see you and know you and talk to you face to face. And as long as if you're not timid or afraid to open your mouth, that is where you get a wealth of leads, information, knowledge in this space. And that's AREA, Real Estate Investors Association. And let me just say this, many of you are new into this space altogether. I've been a real estate investor for 14, 15 years. And I love AREAs. Because it's like the best thing since sliced bread. But let me give you a caveat real quick, because when you go to these, you're going to get excited. And there's this thing they call squirrel. I don't want you to get caught up on squirrel. Squirrel is where you go and you hear somebody talk about this great thing. You're like, oh my God, that's so exciting. And then next you know, someone else is going to say, oh, and I do this. And maybe you can do some flips and you could do some, oh yeah, I'm excited about that. You're going to be chasing your head 1,500 different ways because it's like a squirrel. When you see a squirrel, you run and look at it. I need you staying focused. That's all I'm going to say. So when you go to the RIAs, stay focused. Laser focused, because remember who we are. Even though we are transitional, we are a specific niche in real estate called transitional housing. And that's what we're creating, the shared housing model. Sometimes they call it house hack, but ours is completely different. Ours is transitional housing, and we create housing that impacts people's lives successfully and transforms them. So I just need you staying laser focused. So when you do go to AREA and you hear information, figure out where you're going to tuck it in your laser focus world. Because if it don't fit in the laser focus of where you're going, guess what? Just go put a pin in it. Don't do nothing with it. Go put a pin in it and use it after we get you set up. Because I'm the first to tell you, everything's going to come into your life that's going to distract you from where you're going. My job as your mentor coach is to keep you laser focused on where you're going. As y'all see me talking all the time, I'm about trying to keep you laser focused. I'm finding out where you at today, where we at this week, because this is where we staying. Because life is going to happen. Things are going to happen. It's just going to pop up in your life. But as long as you stay laser focused when you're doing these strategies or whenever life happens, then we know we're going to keep making a step forward to get you where you need to go. So hopefully that helped somebody who's listening to me right now, because I know you're probably trying to figure out your way in this. It's a little murky, but just stay laser focused in the murky, because we're going to eventually start seeing some clear water soon. And then you really are going to rock and roll. So that's what I wanted to share with you related to these specific strategies so that you can find landlords that are going to serve you in this space. Now, the things that they're looking for, because what landlords want to hear from you, they want to make sure and feel and know whatever you share with them, that you're confident in it. So it starts with you. You are the only person who can relay to them, wow, she's got herself together. I feel that she'll be able to handle taking my property on. And not only that, she's going to be consistent. You want to be able to show that whatever you create with them, that you can be consistent in whatever you do. And at the end of the day, cleanliness. They want to make sure you ain't going to mess up their property. And if there was another C, I would add another C, what they want to hear. I hate cash flow. I would have added cash flow on here because they want cash flow. They're not in it for the same reasons you're in it. They're still in it to make sure that they're getting paid. But they have to see you be confident in whatever it is that you present to them and that you consistently perform. Now, if you're brand new in this space, you wonder, well, how can I show them consistency? Your documentation should solidify that for you. Or as you're creating relationships with people, like until you really get started, that one's going to be a harder one to do, right? But you can show that to them. They want to make sure that you're going to do that. And maybe even if it's what you say to them, when you think of your pitch and how you're going to say it to them, because remember, they don't, even though they do care about what it is that you're going to do, how you're going to impact the world, they care about their priorities. They want to know, when I do give her this property for this long-term period and she locks in or he locks in, that they're going to be able to give me exactly what I want every month. They're going to keep my property quiet. They're going to keep it consistently moving as they're running their program. So you need to do an amazing job with structuring that pitch and framing it in a way that's about them and not about you. So when you do that, then you are going to assure them, yep, she's the one I want, he's the one I want, and that's the way to do that. Now, when you are in this space, you need to be prepared for the objections, okay? So when you're writing your pitch, I want you to make sure that you're answering that question without them asking the question, if that makes sense. So whatever you share with them and whatever you like, once you get them on board by the things you state that you have, that's how you assure them without waiting for the objection. I like dealing with the objections when I'm talking, so that if I already know that they care about confidence, then they're gonna want you to address that when you're talking to them about what it is that you're doing. So if they're thinking in their head, well, I've never heard anything like this, this just sounds crazy to me, you want to be able to assure them why this is working, because there is clearly an affordable housing crisis that is currently existing. And because of your heart and passion about what you're creating, you're providing a solution, a creative solution. And by working with someone like you, I can, that's where you start building that. And you make sure that whatever it is that you give them is exactly what it is that you're creating, and you give them comfort that you've protected it. That's why giving insurance, what if someone damages my home? You're going to answer that question already. You're going to let them know, we'll be responsible for the small maintenance issues. Like, there are things you can do. And by the way, I do cover a lot of that stuff in our course, talking about the specific things you can create to assure them. But you want to be able to make sure that the maintenance part side is covered too. And you can give them that assurity without breaking the bank as well. And making sure that they know what you're creating is legal. This is not an illegal process. You can, and by having, if you have a potential MOU that you're working with, you can show, yeah, and I'm working with, Salvation Army here, our local Salvation Army. They've endorsed what we're doing, and we're just excited. So we talk about how you create that documentation. So as you talk about who you work with, you're validating who you are and how competent you are in the space that you're being in. So let me just check and see if there's any questions here so far. Okay, very good. I see people making comments. So thank you so much. Keep the comments going. Yes, I see comments about what we've talked about so far, the objections, talking about, oh yeah, I see you doing the work there too. Yep. So some of the things you provide could be services that you offer here. So you want to make sure that you are easing them related to what you are going to be doing with their property. So now, this is sort of how you should frame it when you are just simply scripting it to send to them. Because remember, you're looking at the Furbo, right? So this is something that you'll just simply send in a little snapshot, just saying hi, whatever. And typically they don't give you the name. You can just simply do hi, exclamation mark, and let them know I'm interested in your whatever the address is. You put that property, and then you share just a brief thing about what it is that you do. This here is what can catch them. If they're interested and they say something back to you, then you are doing good, especially when you say you'd love to discuss a long-term lease with you. When you say those words, they love, because remember, they put it on there for a reason. Most people who have rentals, they love people being with them a very long time, paying them what they will pay them. And if you can lock it in on a long-term basis and get their permission to work there with you and be able to help build up other people, why would they say no? This is where it gets exciting, is you'll be able to still move people down where you need to go as it relates to their house. So scripting that should be 4 little bullets. Keep it short and simple, because I don't know how much, I'm not sure if Hot Pads has a character limitation, but let me add this, because some have a character limitation, okay? So what I would do if I were you, if there were a character limitation, simply take what it is that you want, put it in a chat GPT and say, reduce this down to 900 characters, or whatever the character limit is. That way you're taking something, making it sound sweet, and what you want to capture, and boom, put it in. That is easy what you can do. Now, I'm not sure if Hot Pads has a character limitation, but some sites do. do not have it go to 2. Because you have to think about it. If like I'm a person, when I get stuff coming in, and if it were 2 messages, I'm not going to look at 2 messages. I'm going to look at the last one that just came through, and they're not even going to get a feel for it. So now you've lost an opportunity. So whatever you need to say, if there is a character limitation, go ahead and reduce it to where it fits within that, and just send it on one slide. Now, I was sharing with you that I had spoke with somebody who does this stuff. They love hot pads, and wonderful. I'm excited that they do. And his experience when he shared it with me, that's why I was like, this would be a great to share with my students. So when he used hot pads, he said that he sent out to 3 individuals, and literally within weeks, he had his property locked in. That to me was so valuable that someone could take that. And after 3, that was very impressive. And I asked him what were the things that made it unique where he could do it. These are the things he shared with me that made it where it worked for him. So that's why I'm sharing this knowledge with you. So when you can take something and get results like that, that's powerful. Because as I told you, I've done Zillow listings. I've used to contact for lease options all the time. I would send dozens of messages, and I would only get like 1 or 2 hits. It was not like a lot of hits. So the fact that he was able to secure his first home within just a matter of weeks, and he only contacted 3 people, it clearly let me know this is an opportunity, a missed opportunity that most people are missing. They clearly didn't know it existed. I didn't. And if we can get people like that, there's clearly a need. People must be sitting on properties they can't do anything with. Now, I will say, as you do that space, just make sure if you get interest, I would tell you to reach out to the ones that you can afford based off of your model. So once you know your model, you know how much revenue you need to how much you'll be having coming in, then you need to know what your limit is, because you do not want to exceed that limit, especially if you are, especially if you're locking in for a long-term contract with them. You want to make sure that you don't lock in too long. So a couple of things I want you to consider as we look at this, because this here was an amazing topic. I want you to tell me, because you have one homework assignment already. I want to know if you could share, not here, but if you're comfortable sharing in the group or in this message on YouTube, what your fears are, what fears you had before getting into this training. And then now, how do you feel right now? Like based on what we went through today, because I'm looking for people who are ready to move forward in this space. If this is how you see yourself getting housing and how you felt before this and now how you feel right now. And then I want you to commit to one action that you're going to take in the next 72 hours. That's just 3 days. So today's Tuesday. So by Friday, what can you commit to? So we have 2 homework assignments from this very lesson today. I hope that you got a lot of good stuff from it, because this here is how you keep moving the step forward. You keep moving that mark forward. If you know this, so definitely get out to me. I'm seeing some stuff here. Yay. I like that you guys are putting stuff in here too. You could do that as well. If you're not comfortable sharing it on the chat, you could share it also here. I see people putting it in here. So thank you, because I like you hearing, and I do get these notes and I know who you all are. So this is perfect, but I need you committing to something that you're willing to do, that you can do this way. And if you want to add a piece too, like if this did change your mind from what you were thinking about for maybe buying, and you now think you want to start with renting, I would love to hear that as well. I just want you to take action on something and then move forward. Because once again, if this is a fearful space for you before, but it's not today, my goal is to remove fear, because many people use fear to keep them where they are. So we're about moving it to the next level. We're not going to live in the past nor what we can't do. we're going to push forward to what we will consider doing moving forward. So as I'm watching, because I see the comments coming in the chat, so thank you, because I like that you can freely talk to me. By the way, all this is private. I get to see all your stuff private. So whatever you say to me, I'm the only one seeing. If I want to make comment to it, I will, if I want to share it with the group. Or if there's something you want to share you don't want me saying, make sure you say, don't say this, but, right? But I love that you guys are being honest and candid with me, and you're open to looking at the renting. This is the next thing that I will share, because this was an amazing session that I hope you guys got. I want to see if there's any questions first. Any questions in the site before we move forward? Because I think that was pretty much it before I go into the last part. So any questions? Any more questions that I have not answered already? All right. Continue putting questions. If you have a question you haven't got out yet, you're still typing, keep typing, because I'm going to be reading as we go. Because what I would do, there is a question out here that asks, can you pursue renting and owning simultaneously? So let me answer that question with this. I'm going to say you can, but I would prefer that you not. And let me tell you why. Remember when we talk about our training and we talk about getting your MVP together, if you don't have an MVP already in place, your minimum viable product, and you don't have it piloted yet at all, I don't want to see you over commit to anything. The goal is to get one set up beautifully, solid, and then we scale. And it's hard to do both and to negotiate both. I understand the sense of urgency, because I already told y'all it is a sense of urgency right now for affordable housing. And making sure we do it right the first time is more important to me than getting a whole bunch of properties and lining them up. Okay. So as long as you're willing to move toward that, just thinking through. Now, if you've already got it in place, then I would say go for it. Like after you've got your MVP, your pilot, because I see some people saying that you could potentially have that, then yeah, you can go for both. But I want to make sure you're solid first. I would be doing a disservice to you as your coach. Just now, you do what you want to after that, though. If you want, or if you want to, period. Anyway, you don't have to listen to me, but I'm giving you constructive feedback. I would wait till I have it solid. My lessons learned from just doing my first property was tremendous, but I couldn't imagine doing two at the same time. I've done it where I've done multiples, but I was already in place. I already had it together. Now let me read this one here. Okay. And no worries. Yep. So this is what I will say about that. And I appreciate you guys being candid to me in the chat, because I get to read what you're saying. And I know many of you are in the school community. I would say continue to press through those questions that you have, because that's where you can truly push forward. Feel free to send me a private chat also on school, so that we can move you forward in that space, because I want to help you. So now that we are here, I am 100% excited about those of you who have already been a part of what we've already started building. Oh, I see one more question I want to make sure I answer. Which one is the best to start off with, rent or own? It depends. That's always a depend question, because I'm going to say me personally, just me personally, if I'm new in a space and let's say that everything's equal, let's just start there. When I say everything's equal, the rental or to buy are equal. The mortgage is going to be the same. Everything's equal. And now you got to decide which is better for you. The next thing you need to consider when everything is equal is your risk level, right? Because clearly, if you have a program that's already in place, you're starting it off, and worst case scenario, everything goes to itch, like everything goes to itch. You need to, if you say to yourself, you would rather have a rental if everything went to itch, or a mortgage if everything went to itch, that's the one you need to choose. Perfect example is market. When markets crash, and we already know the market is at the highest it's ever been. Would you agree? Highest it's ever been today. And to buy a house, right, and a market that crashes, right, will impact you significantly. So I'm just going to say, for a person who evaluates the market, Those things are things I look at. But you also have to look at your solid program. If you have a solid program, and let's say the market does crash, but the market is going to pay for it, it's going to cover everything you need to cover, then you just need to make sure that if you do buy, that number one, the program you're setting up with is solid. It's going to be hands down going to be paid for whether the market crashes or not, and you can build off of that. So that's why I said that question is a depends question. Only you can decide which is better for you. I just know some people's risk levels and their commitment to this. If you're committed, it don't matter. You're going to do one or the other. It's easier, though, to walk away from someone who, if you have a rental, but who wants to walk away? I don't like walking away from nothing, but it's easier to walk away from this than walking away from this, right? So you're the best person to weigh that, but I would consider all of the above, that what I just laid out for you, in deciding which is better, to rent or to own. I like owning. I've owned everything, but I got mine through the tax sale, which is different liability. I wasn't buying a $200,000-$300,000 home. I think I got it for like 15,000, 20,000, like, right? So I think you just need to weigh your options and just make sure whatever you choose, rent or own, you can cover it. Even if the market crashes, you can cover it. Those are the questions you can answer. But you got to pull the trigger on something. Don't let that be the reason why you don't pull the trigger. Okay. And the last point I'll make, and then I'll jump back to this slide. When you are deciding, have multiple options for yourself. If you know the niche you're working with, for instance, are individuals that are coming out of incarceration, and you then work with them and something happens and it no longer works for some stupid reason, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with that property? How are you going to reposition? How are you going to pivot? Those are questions only you can answer. And I would just make sure you got multiple ways that you can make that work for you if you are stuck with a property that you bought, because it's still an asset all day, every day. All right. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. And I saw people saying that they would buy 100%. I'm all for whatever you choose to do, but you need to make that decision. And I gave you several things to consider when you are going to make that decision. And those are the things that'll help you. If that still did not help, make sure that you come to our school community and ask me more questions there, because I'm here to help everyone grow. And that's a question that might help other people as well. So now, any other questions? I'm still looking in the chat. I will still come back because I want to make sure at least I cover this in case people need to leave. Because right now, this is what I am hoping for. Nope, I know will happen. I've already got people signing up now. I love my 5-day challenge. And for people who are ready to go deeper, this is the best way to do that. Several of you who are in the room today, you've already been a part of this, and you were a part of our first one. I've tweaked it and I'm making it better so that this next round, I've already moved the date to June 9th. On June 9th, we are doing a 5-day challenge. And I'm so excited because I was able to help people create their blueprints for their next step forward. And without a blueprint, you don't know which way to go. And this here does that for you. And if you have not signed up yet and you want to attend, you're welcome to attend. Those people who've attended before, you're welcome to come back for a refresher in any one of these because you've already done it. So I encourage those of you who've participated and you want to do it again, or you want to see another part again, or maybe see how it's done differently, you're welcome to attend. You get to be a part of this as long as you've signed up, you're with me. And the best way to sign up is in our school community. So if you are interested and you want to join our 5-day challenge, you can go to tonyschool.com. That's TONISKOOL.com. And then you would join. And then once I accept you, you would go to our classroom and you would find the 5-day challenge. And in that 5-day challenge, you are going to be amazed at the things that you're going to learn in that space. I'm excited for the new VIPs we just got on board that we are actively working with. That date has slid as well, just for those of you who need to know, because I did have to, just because I wanted to make sure these people here had the opportunity. We were starting our first group session. It was going to be on the 6th. I'm moving it to probably on the 19th. We have a lot of things that are changing, and my apologies, but I appreciate you because you guys still contact me all the time. And anyway, you get like a lot of one-on-one with me. Those of you who are on my VIP right now, you get me a one-on-one, but it'll shift down to just the group calls starting probably the 19th. So now that I've said all that, woo, that was a mouthful. Any other questions? I am excited that we have gone over everything. I'm watching the questions to see if anything else pops up. The 5-day challenge is June 9th through the 13th. And it is $297 to participate in it. If you've not participated before, those who've already been in it before, you're welcome to come back for a refresher, just if you want to fine tune or just be with another group of purpose-driven leaders, because that's what we're doing. And I think that might be it. So I have enjoyed this training. This will be available for replay shortly, because I'll be putting it out on YouTube just for my YouTube community, and then hopefully to everyone who's here, and we can hopefully get this ball rolling some more. So I think that's it for us now. I thank you guys so much for your time. You guys enjoy the rest of your day and get out there and transform your life, because as you transform yours, you're transforming the lives of others as well. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.